Welcome to Knicksfandom. This is an independent New York Knicks fan-based podcast, which was created by fans for fans. The show is hosted by LA Blackwell, Danny, and Flau. They'll discuss the issues surrounding the Knicks, the NBA, and various other sports-related topics. Join us. It's going to be a heck of a ride.
They say it's puppy love. We say it's full grown. I'm for real. Hey everyone, this is episode 16 of our podcast known as Knicksfandom. It's great to be able to bring you back another exciting episode. I'm your host, LA Blackwell. Hope all our listeners out there are doing well. I'm very glad to be joined by my co-host, Flo. How you doing, Flo?
LA, I'm great today. How you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. How about you, Danny D? I'm joined by my other co-host. How's everything?
LA, I'm looking good, feeling good. How's everything with you, man?
I'm all right, you know. We back, fellas. We back. Today's episode will be a special NBA trade deadline edition show. Therefore, we will focus on several of the most significant trades that took place recently, and we got to speak about them in our previous podcast, so we think today is a good time to get that done. Notably, we'll start with the first thing. Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Melo, Noah, Derrick Rose got traded at the deadline. But we did have some significant trades that went through, and we'll start with the Lou Williams trade. Lou Williams was traded from the Lakers to the Rockets for Corey Brewer and a 2017 first-round pick. In addition, Mitch Kupchak was fired as GM, and Irvin Magic Johnson was named as president of basketball operations. What do you guys think about this regarding this latest events? Starting with you, Flo.
LA, I told you. You didn't listen to me. I told you there's no way that the Lakers would bring Magic Johnson only to be an advisor. That doesn't make no sense whatsoever.
Very true, very true. You call that one.
So pretty much, now, honestly, this was a great trade by Magic. He didn't even wait at least 48 hours before he made his first trade as president of basketball operations. He was able to move Lou Williams to Houston. He got a first-round draft pick in return. It's a win-win for both teams, to be honest with you. With Houston, now they have another six-man coming off the bench. Pretty much that will take a lot of pressure off of James Harden, matching up together with Eric Gordon, two guys that were competing in the race for Sixth Man of the Year competition. In regards to the Lakers, they got a first-round pick, and they're starting to rebuild slowly but surely. Maybe what's Magic plan is, maybe he's trying to acquire more assets to pull that big trade to get Paul George. You never know with Magic.
Yeah, I definitely could see that happening down the road. It's a lot of talk about Paul George going there. That's where he really wants to. That's what they were saying in the NBA rumblings. But what you think about this deal overall, Danny D? Thank you, Flo.
I think it was a great deal for Houston, but what Magic trying to tank? Is he trying to tank? He's trying to tank the season out in LA? Because you gave up Lou Williams. Lou Williams was your most consistent player on that team. He came off the bench and he averaged and he gets busy. I wouldn't have got rid of Lou because he's a valuable asset for the team. But I'm just saying, for Houston, it's a great deal. They gave up Corey Brewer, who he has a ring, but with Corey, he's inconsistent and things like that. I guess, when you get a first-round pick. But it's a great trade for Houston. They got a great trade. For LA, yeah. If you're trying to tank the season, you're trying to get more picks, I go with Magic.
I got to agree with you there, Danny D. For me, I think it's a win-win just because Magic definitely tanking. He's taking like Sherman Douglas right now, man. He's giving up right now. And I got no problem with it. This team is not winning. They're young. They're trying to put a lot of pieces together. They're trying to get some draft picks as well. And it's LA. They know they can sign somebody within a year or so. So tank now, try to get as high as you can get in the draft. At the same time, I liked it a lot for Houston. They needed some help off the bench. Also, like you stated before, Flo, it definitely helps out James Harden. And it also helps out with Eric Gordon because they had an injury problem before. As you've seen with a lot of other players in the NBA right now, a lot of people getting injured right now going into the playoff stretch right now in a couple of weeks or so. So definitely is a good move for both teams, but definitely more for Houston at this point. Thank you guys for that one. Another trade that went down was the Wizards. They acquired Bogdanovich and Chris McCullough from the Brooklyn Nets for a 2017 first-round draft pick and Andrew Nicholson, as well as Marcus Thornton. What are your main thoughts that stands out regarding this trade for both teams, and which team do you think came out ahead? Starting with you, Danny D, with this one.
I think Marcus Thornton is going where?
He's going He's going into going to the trying to believe the
Brooklyn Nets.
The Brooklyn Nets. Yeah. Thank you, Flo.
He's going. Yeah, to me, I'll be honest with that trade. I really didn't care much for the trade at all on both sides because Brooklyn, it's Brooklyn. No offense out there, Brooklyn Knights. We just not getting together on the Brooklyn side. And for the Wizards, yeah, I guess it's an even trade for both, I guess. But really, I really didn't care about the trade for this one, though, to be honest with you.
I hear you. To me right now, looking at it, I think the Wizards got the best out of it. I'm going to go to you, Flo, and see what you think about that, elaborate more on it, and I'll go into a little more details afterwards.
LA, I'm going to disagree with you. I think the Brooklyn Nets won this trade. And the reason why is they already lost their draft pick to the Boston Celtics in terms of the lesser of the pick. Remember, with the trade that their previous GM, Billy King, made for 2017 first-round draft pick, that first-round draft pick belongs to the Nets. So now the Celtics have the right to exchange draft picks with the Nets. Now, we already know the Brooklyn Nets are considered the worst team in basketball right now. So that pick becomes very valuable now to Boston because it's going to them. It could be a top 3 pick. So now,
top 1. Right now.
That's a good point. Definitely is a good point. But now, on the net side, now you have Boston's pick, but then also now you got the Wizards pick. You got 2 first-rounders in this year's draft. I know they're late first-rounders. I think it's most likely it could be the 24th and the 26th pick. But they're going from, having no draft picks and now having 2 draft picks. That's a good deal for them. In regards to the Wizards, getting Bogdanovic is good because you're having a shooter that you're adding onto the bench. But again, it's not enough. They need more players on their bench. It's really not enough for them. It's not enough for them to compete against the Boston Celtics of the world and the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors.
Thank you, Flo. I hear you. I hear where you're coming from, but, I wouldn't have done it because I'm not that big a fan of Bogdanovic. But, they need pieces. They need a bench, as we talked about in the previous podcast. I spoke about that. Check that out if you haven't listened to that, listeners. And we went in real good detail regarding that. They definitely need some help with the bench. They have one of the worst benches in the NBA. And this is definitely a good step in that direction. As I stated earlier, this is a pick, but it's not going to be worth much to me right now, just looking overall, because they already in third place last time I looked with the Wizards. So you're only going to get maybe a late first-round pick. You can always try to package it up, try to move up in the draft. I definitely see where you're coming from with that, Flo. But at the same time, the Wizards are trying to make some moves. They're trying to get a little upset special going. You can't be mad at a team like that. They're going for it, trying to do the best they can. But, we'll see what happens come playoff time, see if it's worth it. Also see where this pick goes come draft time. Like you said, the Nets basically trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. We'll see where that goes down the road. They don't have any pieces to really work with. It's a good step in that direction. So, to me, it's a slight win, maybe a push. I still feel a little bit to the Wizards. Okay, next up. The Mavericks traded for Nerlens Noel in exchange from the 76ers for Andrew Bogut, Justin Anderson, and a lottery protected first-round pick within the 1 through 18 protected draft pick. Bogut was later released and has now signed with the Cavs. Starting with you, Flo, what is your thoughts overall regarding these transactions?
LA, Dallas won this trade hands down. They got Nerlens Noel, and the only value that they gave up for Nerlens Noel is probably Andrew Bogut. Dallas won this trade. They ripped off Philly. Shame on Brian Colangelo because he's a veteran GM. He knows better, but he got ripped off. Excellent job by the Mavericks. Excellent job. You pretty much gave up nothing to get Nerlens Noel. Now, if they can start working together, try to win some games near the end of the season, hopefully they can re-sign Nerlens Noel. He's a restricted free agent. Again, another piece you can add on with Harrison Barnes. Just in case Dirk decides to retire in the season, you have another piece there to go with Harrison Barnes. Great trade by the Dallas Mavericks. Horrible trade by the Philadelphia 76ers.
Gotta agree with you. Thank you, Flo, for that one. Gotta agree with you with this one so far. It's a cheap young center, and it's a cheap contract right now, regarding Noel. And he's still on a rookie contract. So I would have did it for Okafor. I would rather keep on Noel to help out, with Embiid in the center as a defensive stalwart, especially with Embiid having injury issues. But how about you, Danny D? What you think about this deal overall?
Like we discussed before, guys. First of all, they traded the wrong person. They got rid of the wrong center. It should have been Okafor, not Noel.
Definitely agree.
Noel plays defense. He's a rim protector, and the thing is, Philly messed up because now with Embiid being hurt, he can't play now. So now you took out the fun, and Noel and Embiid played together well. Okafor, they didn't play together well. So now you got rid of him. He had a cheap contract on a rookie contract, and you brought in Bogut, who wasn't going to stay anyway. He was going to leave.
I like that part of it, though, because I thought that was good. You're trying to clear up space, so I definitely understood that. You didn't need Bogut at that point,
Bogut. But the thing is, you really didn't get nothing in return, though.
Exactly.
You got Justin Anderson, a wing. We got enough wings already. We got enough wing players already. You gave up Young. How old is Noel? Is not even old. He's still on like you say, he's still on a rookie contract. And he does. And another thing is, he doesn't demand the ball. He likes the defense. He likes the rebounds and block shots. That's what he likes to do, as opposed to Okafor, who demands the ball and clogs up the paint.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir right now, D. I gotta agree with you, man. Because it's like they'd have played much better together. That's when even though they didn't have that many minutes together, he's only 22 years old, I believe.
That's it.
So I mean, even though Okafor was only 21. But you could see defensive-wise and the way that the Dallas want to play, he fits perfectly with them guys. And also, you could learn from Dirk as well. He's gonna play well under their coach over there too. He's gonna do a great job with those guys. You can already see that. I didn't.
Good job, Philly.
I didn't understand that part.
L.A.
Yes, Flo.
L.A. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been killing Phil Jackson for the last couple of months. But and D knows, Phil Jackson would have never made that trade. You know that. He would have never gave Nerlens Noel for nothing. No way.
And he shouldn't have. He really shouldn't have. And the thing was, another thing with that, Embiid and him are very good friends on the team. So you actually got two guys that want to play with each other on the same team. And this is a team that doesn't have that many pieces veteran-wise. So if this team doesn't start winning soon, you can see Embiid trying to leave for greener pastures down the road real quick. So you actually want to have some reason to have these guys want to be here and feel like they're building around each other, because you don't have that solid veteran to come in here yet, which I would have tried to go after Jimmy Butler or something of that nature. Well, we can talk about that later in the show, But I think we kind of talked about that one, unless anybody else got anything else to say regarding this topic. Regarding this trade. And we'll just go on to the next one that was a major trade. Not major, but something else that occurred during the deadline. And the next one up would be the Raptors traded Jared Sullinger and 2 future second-round draft picks to the Phoenix Suns for the services of P.J. Tucker. Starting with you, Danny D, what do you think about this deal overall?
I see what Toronto was trying to do. They're trying to get in the arms race with Boston Celtics and the Cavaliers. I thought it was good for P.J., but the only thing is I think they gave up too many. You said they gave up 2 second-round picks?
Yes, 2 future second-round ones.
I would have gave up 1. I gave up 1 for P.J. Tucker. I'm not giving up 2. I would have gave up 1 and maybe none for P.J. Tucker. Because T.J. Tucker, he's a defensive, he's a brawler, he gets gritty, and he fits good in Toronto, what they're trying to do. But it's a good trade, but I wouldn't have gave up 2. I would have gave up 1, maybe none for P.J. Tucker. They wouldn't have been 2, though. Definitely not 2 second. No.
I hear you on that one. Thank you, Danny D. I gotta agree with you with that part. I would have did 1 too. But it's like they're doing. This is basically like you said. It's an arm race going against Cleveland. You got to play Thompson. You got to play LeBron and Kevin Love. He comes back healthy. You got to have some big body that's going to battle with these guys down there. That's what they're really trying to do right now. How about you, Flo? What you thought about this deal overall?
LA, I want to talk about this deal. Then I want to go back and talk about the Wizards deal with Bogdanovich to add on. But in regards to this deal here, Toronto made a good trade, but if you ask me, in my opinion, who got the better of the trade, Phoenix did. Remember, guys, in a previous podcast, I mentioned that the Phoenix Suns were trying to trade P.J. Tucker. What they were looking for was 1 second-round pick. They were looking for a first-rounder. If they couldn't get a first-rounder, they wanted a second-rounder. And I mentioned in a previous podcast that the Clippers contacted Phoenix. They offered a second-rounder, And Phoenix said no. Lo and behold, a team like Toronto that's desperate to compete with Cleveland, look what they do. They gave up 2 second-rounders to Phoenix. 2, not 1, 2. Plus, they acquire an expiring contract of Jaren Soldier. Excellent job by Phoenix. Excellent job.
Thank you, Flo. I hear you on that part. I understand where you come from. If they was already going to get rid of him, might as well, see the best they can get for him. And, I guess it exceeded their aspirations. So I guess it's a push right there if you want to look at it from that perspective. I'm just looking at it talent-wise. I think for them, you don't really know what you're going to get with though. I mean, I thought PJ was younger, too, until we saw talking about in the previous podcast. He's really not that. It's not like he's 21 or 22, He's like past that little peak of age, like almost 27, 28, around that age, something of that nature. So, for where he is, he built his way up into that, and you wasn't going to keep him. It's not a bad move on that side. So, we'll see what happens come playoff time and see where those picks go as well. Thank you, fellas, for that one. There's one more deal. Go ahead. Oh, you want to talk about the Bogdanovich? Go ahead, Flo.
Yeah, in regards to the Wizards trade with Bogdanovich, the reason why I favor the Nets in that trade over the Wizards is because the Nets were able to acquire a first-round pick for Bogdanovich. I don't think Bogdanovich is worth a first-round pick. In my opinion, he's worth only a second-rounder. Desperate time, call for desperate measures. The Wizards were desperate. They don't have a bench. They had no choice. They gave up the first-round pick. And easily the Nets said yes. Sean Marks of the Brooklyn Nets, the GM, did an excellent job getting that first-round pick. The deal was getting that first-round pick, not really Marcus Thornton. Andrew Nicholson, they had to acquire him because they had to take back a player with a couple years left on the contract, so they had no choice. But the main goal was to get that first-round draft pick. They got it. Great job by Brooklyn.
Exactly. It was just throw-ins, make the salary work. My Net fans out there got something to rejoice about. I know I'm a little tough on them. I heard from a couple of Net fans, some of our listeners out there. Pretty decent move for y'all Nets. We'll see what happens now as y'all go forward. Hopefully y'all out of the dumpster and out of the basement. So, sorry, I had to, fellas. I had to. Regarding another one of the main trades that happened was the Thunder acquired Doug McDermott, Taj Gibson, a 2016 second-round draft pick from the Bulls, in exchange for Cameron Payne, Joffrey Lauringi, and Anthony Morrow. Sorry if I butchered that name. What's your thoughts regarding this deal? Starting with you this time, Flo.
L.A. L.A. I have to laugh because the reason why I can't believe Sam Presti ripped off the Bulls again. A clueless GM in Chicago. Once again, another GM that's actually worse than Phil Jackson. And I've been killing Phil Jackson throughout this entire podcast for the last couple of months.
Very true.
Excellent job. Excellent job. Phil Jackson would never made a stupid trade like this. No way possible. No way. As much as I tease him calling him the $60 million intern, he would have never made this trade. The Chicago Bulls gave up Taj Gibson for 3 role players. They have maybe half of their roster is probably full of point guards right now in the Chicago Bulls. When you make a trade by giving up Taj Gibson, you're pretty much telling me you're waving the white flag. If that's the case, why did you hold on to Jimmy Butler? Why didn't you move Jimmy Butler again?
You could have moved that whole team at this point. Dwayne Wade could have been gone. You could have got rid of Rondo. You could have got rid of a lot of guys. Though, if anything, if you just wanted to keep Jimmy just to build around again, fine. But you could have got rid of both of them guys. This deal was awful, man. I've got to agree with you totally with this one, Flo. It didn't make sense at all. I would have did this deal just for Gibson and the second-round pick. It was enough for me. And you threw in Doug McDermott, and he could, really shoot. So all these things are definitely working around what you're doing with Westbrook. That's all this was about. And it's like you got nothing back. You didn't get a pick. You didn't get nobody you could really build around a future star.
Straight up trade.
I didn't understand it at all. What you thought about it, Danny D? Thank you, Flo.
I don't know what Chicago. Cameron Payne, that's gonna be the new future point guard. Cameron Payne, that's what we're doing right now. And Anthony Morrow, for a bona fide starter and Taj Gibson who can get a double-double and dodge buckets McDermott who can shoot threes off of the court. For Cameron Payne and Anthony Moore. Did y'all see how Cameron Payne looked on it? He looked sad when he was in Chicago. It looked like he was about to cry. They talking about, he looked focused. No, it looked like he about to cry.
I don't know, man.
He looked confused himself. He's like, why? Why did y'all do this for? Why?
It made no sense, man. They should have had these guys tested before they did this deal. I don't know what was going on. I really don't.
And then it was a good move. As like I said, it was a good move for Oklahoma. If they were in the East Conference, they'd have been like a third or second seed. But they're gonna win a couple more games with those two boys because they're still in that loaded West Coast Conference. It's rough out there. But for the Bulls, Cameron Payne and Anthony Murray. That's all I got to say for that too. No disrespect to those guys, but I'm just saying, quality wise, it's not. You can't compare. It's not on the same. It's like apples and oranges. You just can't compare the two.
Not at all. Especially since you kept Butler and you still got Wade and Rondo. I mean, it's like you coming and going all at the same time. I mean, this is a great move by Thunder. Great move. Considering what they gave away and what they got, can't be mad at all with that type of move.
And remember, Cameron was hurt. Remember that he just came back from injury. He didn't play in the beginning of the season. He was hurt.
True. Yep, that's true.
I want to add to that, gentlemen.
Go ahead, Flau.
Originally, I didn't even realize that they threw in I didn't know they offered Cameron Payne in the trade because when OKC was working on a trade, we all thought that Andre Robertson was the guy that was being traded because he was saying goodbye to everybody in the locker room. So we all thought that he was getting traded. But I was told that that's just who he is. He's a guy that just likes to clown around, joke around the locker room. So, so he was pretty much pulling a stunt on his teammates. Now, in terms of Cameron Payne, guys, let's remember, this is Russell Westbrook's dance partner. Just keep that in mind. That's what he's famous for. Not for basketball, for his dancing.
Hey, that's addition by subtraction to me, man. That's the way I'm looking at it. All right, fellas. Thank you for that. And that was the main trades I saw that I really wanted to go over. We can go talk about some of the other trades that y'all might want to go over as the show goes on. But I also want to talk about some notable releases that also occurred. And I'm just going to go through them real quick. Deron Williams released from the Mavericks, and he eventually signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Brandon Jennings released from our very own New York Knicks, and he recently signed with the Wizards. Terrence Jones was released from the Pelicans, and they were saying that right now he may be signing with the Heat, but as of I heard in the beginning of this podcast, I have not heard anything confirmed as of yet. Maybe you guys have. And the Knicks also recently signed Chasson Randle, who was last released by the 76ers a while ago. I just want to talk about these releases and signings and what y'all thought about this overall. You just go talk about it as a group. What you thought about it, Danny D?
It's good. And there's one more ally. Don't forget about your boy Matt Barnes.
Oh yes, that's very true. That just was signed by the Golden State Warriors due to the fact that Kevin Durant has an MLC spring, I believe, or MCL spring, I should say. Thank you, D. Mm-hmm. And what you thought about these, including that one? What you thought about these overall signings and or releases?
This is very interesting. We can go for it's very interesting. Guys, we're gonna discuss why in the world we got rid of Brandon Jennings and signed Chasson Randle, and we said that from the podcast months ago. We already said that, Flo. We've been said that.
That's right.
It's like does Phil Jackson? It's like he's Rip Van Winkle, man. There's no reason we be on this podcast and talk about this thing from the very beginning. I think it's like episode 2 or 3. You go back and check that out, listeners. We talk about this very move. I mean, saying bring him on, but he was actually hot back then. Now he's uncool. Now he's not even playing the same way before. He went to the D League and all these things of that nature. It's like take a chance on the kid. Now you're gonna bring him back when the season's almost done. It makes no sense to me at all. It boggles the mind right now. It really does. I don't understand what Phil's doing, man. And then they talking about on some reports he wasn't even answering the phone. They couldn't find him.
Yeah, it was like
Waldo. I'm like, what's going on with this guy? Getting paid all this money for what?
What else is he doing?
Rip Van Winkle, man. He's sitting there sleeping under the bench and like Flo's sending a picture of him sitting on the bus looking confused if that was him. I don't know, man. It boggles my mind, like they say. What you thought about this, Flo? Regarding the Chasson Randle.
Gentlemen, we talked about Chasson Randle on the podcast, I believe, 3 podcasts in a row. I believe it was episode 2, 3, and 4, we mentioned Chance Randle. Time to bring him up. He's destroying the D-League competition right now. Bring him up, bring him up, bring him up. D started off with that. Then I start off
on them tip-off topics, I believe. Or, Go ahead, Flo.
LA, you brought it up in a tip-off topic. So again, it's like Phil is always like 2 steps behind. Why?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing, man. I really don't. It's crazy right now.
Oh,
and I did like the Deron Williams move, though. Not to change subject, but I did like that one for the Cavs. I guess LeBron should be happy now. He finally got his quote-unquote playmaker.
Listen, I agree with that. But listen, I think it's a great move. But how many times can Deron Williams get a buyout? This is his trend now. He's just going. This is like his 3rd buyout. Brooklyn's still giving him money. Now he go to the Mavs. Remember, he wanted to go to the Mavs. He's like, you know what? I'm not feeling it this year. Can you buy me out? And the teams are continuing. But does he have dirt on GMs that we don't know about that he continues to get buyouts?
I don't get it, man.
Great question.
I just hope he ain't paying a lot for them houses and stuff because he's the moving man right now.
The kids need a backyard and stuff like that.
I remember that. Nets fans, I felt bad when they told that nonsense. All this money you paid this guy, he talking about worrying about the kids in the school system. You got to be kidding me.
Talking about his kids had to have the backyard. Nobody said you had to have a house in Brooklyn. You can live upstate, whatever you want to do. Nah, and y'all paid him his money. He got that. Got the money from the Mavs. Now he don't like to. I guess so, man. They said make America great again. Go ahead, Deron. Do your thing.
Oh man, what could I say? And what's the other one Brandon Jennings asked to be released by the Knicks. Good move for the Wizards. Flo, you talked about this one before. Another one you came through with. And that's a good move for them because they definitely need somebody to help out John Wall to back him up. He wanted to be on a playoff contender team. He got it. So, it didn't quite work out like we thought he was in New York. He did the best he could, I guess, while he was here. Wasn't a player I thought he was going to be as well. It was a little too inconsistent, a little too erratic for my liking as well. So you do what you can do. Only thing I'm mad about, I saw some reports. They said they did try to move him before the deadline. But, you couldn't get a late 2nd round pick for him or something like that. I seen all these other guys getting 2 second rounds for some guys. He wasn't worth 1. But, hey, what can you say? Other than that, I don't know. You guys could talk about that. Anything you want to add to that, Flo?
In regards to Brandon Jennings, it's my understanding that according to and I don't know, D, if you read this article, but I actually text a copy of the article to LA, I believe either yesterday or today, about our buddy Charlie Rosen.
Yes, sir.
Stating that Brandon Jennings doesn't fit in the triangle. The Knicks are using the triangle in games right now.
This whole team don't fit under the triangle, man. Go ahead, Flo. It's disgusting. You're trying to put square pegs in a round hole, man. It's like, forget this triangle. Nobody else using the triangle right now. It's the only team still trying to go back and reinvent the wheel, man. It makes no sense right now. Go ahead, Flo. Sorry about that.
Nah, man. You have every right to vent as a Knicks fan. I understand your frustration. It's just mind-boggling because, like you said before, LA, if you had plans to move him, why didn't you at least try to get on the phone and shop Brandon Jennings for a 2nd rounder? How come you couldn't call Memphis? They need a backup point guard for Mike Conley Jr., Danny's boy, who's always hurt every year. You mean tell me you couldn't get a 2nd rounder for Memphis? Come on, man. Come on, Phil. You're slacking on this one. By you just releasing him, you pretty much stated that, I made a bad decision signing this guy.
Very true, very true. Can't disagree with that, man. And Knicks fans are suffering for it. What can we say? But, that was the main issues that went down regarding the trade deadline. Any other thing y'all want to talk about that regarding that before we move on to the next segment? Anybody could just jump in.
I have one more thing to say.
Okay, Flo.
Where is Phil Jackson through all this? I haven't seen him do a State of the Knicks address. I didn't see him or hear him comment on the Derrick Rose AWOL situation. I didn't hear him comment about bringing in Chance Randle, releasing Brandon Jennings. It's my understanding behind closed doors that Jennings was not happy playing the triangle offense. He preferred to He preferred to pick and roll. He voiced his opinion. He also wanted to play for a playoff team. This Knicks team is not making the playoffs. So apparently the Knicks want him to just go away. So they released him and they allowed him to join a playoff team. So in reality, the winner between the Knicks and Brandon Jennings is Brandon Jennings because he gets the opportunity to sign with a playoff team with the Wizards.
Oh, definitely.
Jennings won. Phil Jackson 0.
And Knicks fans still getting zeros. I tell you, can't make this stuff up, guys. Well, thanks, fellas, as always, for your assessments about the aforementioned topics. But before we begin our next segment, I'd like to take care of a few housekeeping issues. First, a big thank you to our listeners out there. We definitely appreciate every one of you for tuning into our podcast. Please make sure to subscribe in iTunes and to our brand new YouTube channel. We are really trying to move up in those rankings, and subscriptions plays a big part in their ranking systems. Also, leave a comment on iTunes and feel free to share our podcast with your friends. It would be greatly appreciated. Lastly, our show can also be found on Stitcher, Google Play, Pocket Cast, and some of the most recent shows can now be found on SoundCloud as well. If you want to reach us directly, be sure to contact us on our Facebook fan page and our new email address, known as Knicksfandom@gmail.com. And also our brand new Twitter account, Knicks_fandom. Thanks again. Now back to our regularly scheduled podcast. We're back, and now it's time for our segment known as Tip Off. As usual, this is a short segment where we each usually pick one personal topic that we've been thinking about and would like to discuss in a group format. The topic may pertain to any type of NBA or sports-related topic that we may find interesting, and in turn, hopefully you, the listener, will also find it interesting. To start off for us this week, Danny D, do you have anything to discuss regarding our tip-off segment?
All right, for my tip-off segment, we're going to talk about your boy, Big Baby Glenn Davis.
Okay.
He had a recent report with him on Undisputed on Fox and on Chris Broussard's podcast. These are all quotes. This is not me. This is your boy, Big Glenn Davis, on Coach Doc Rivers. He says that Doc Rivers is overrated as a coach, and he was lucky as hell to win a championship in Boston in 2008. He also said that Doc is so caught up as being a president, and he's becoming a horrible coach. What do you guys feel about that?
Thank you, D.A.D. It's like a little bit of sour grapes. I know they don't have the best relationships, so I've heard that before regarding that. So, you know, not surprised, but I'm more of a fan of Doc the coach versus Doc the GM. So it's hard for me to say that he, you know, doesn't deserve that ring. I think he did a good job. I think he's a great motivator. It may not be the greatest X and O's, but motivation. He was the right coach for the team at that time, and they got the job done. So it's hard to go against that. So, you know, and also he's big. He's named Big Baby for a reason. He's kind of sensitive with some things. So let's take it for what it is. How about you, Flo? What you think about that? Thank you, Danny D.
LA, I agree with you. The thing with Doc, I see him more as a veterans coach. I really don't see him as a guy that can coach a young team. Like, if you were to take Doc Rivers from the Clippers and you sent him back to Boston, I don't think he would have done the job that Brad Stevens is doing right now, honestly.
I agree with that. Because I don't think that great with X and O's. That's the thing. What you thought about Danny D overall since you brought up that topic?
Half and half. I can see where Big Baby's coming from. Just the fact that he's saying it's hard to be both as a president, like as opposed to Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge, his main focus is to do what? Bring people in and stuff like that. And I have somebody else do the X and O's. So for Doc did a lot of, like, he did things out on the Clippers. It's like, it's just questionable. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, he went and got his son. I get, you know, it just turned out his son, it was decent. Because sometimes I was like, why? Like, you brought Paul Pierce. Wow, really? Paul Pierce is going to be the savior to help y'all guys out? That's what y'all really need right now, as another wing, Paul Pierce? So I understand what Big Baby, but half of the stuff is him crying too. Because he was like, I broke my ankle, and they were shooting me up. They were shooting me up with cortisone shots, and my ankle was broke, and he didn't call me. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was like, Big Baby, stop crying. You know what's wrong with your ankle. You go to X-ray. There could be a malpractice suit because they didn't do it. Like, no, you're grown. Get an MRI on your ankle and it's broke. You'll be fine, bro. That's not Doc's fault that you broke your ankle. Get out of here. But I can see where he's coming from with the X and O's because it's hard to do both.
No, very true, very true. Big baby sound like he's starting any given Sunday right now. But we'll see what happens. Anything else you want to add to that, Flo?
No.
Okay. Thank you, D. Appreciate that. And how about you, Flo? You got anything for a hot topic today?
LA, definitely I do. I just want to talk about something you had mentioned earlier before in regards to the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if you guys were aware, but Jose Calderon was released by the Los Angeles Lakers, and he signed with the Golden State Warriors. But the funniest thing about this, that he reached a verbal agreement with the Warriors after 59 minutes. He was officially an ex-Golden State Warrior, and the Warriors were able to sign Matt Barnes because Kevin Durant got hurt in their loss to Washington yesterday in Washington. So, guys, what do you think about Jose Calderon being released by Golden State? Number one. Number two, what do you think about Matt Barnes signing with Golden State? And number three, what do you think about a team of the Atlanta Hawks who right now is interested in a backup point guard, just in case as an insurance policy for Dennis Schroeder, the starting point guard, and their second-string point guard, Malcolm Delaney? What do you think about Jose Calderon going to Atlanta?
Okay, thank you, Flo. I don't know. First thing I just thought about was tough break, as Dave Chappelle would say, regarding Jose Calderon. You know? But I think he's done anyway, man. I wouldn't want him from Atlanta. I think he's shot. He was shot when he's with the Knicks. He's shot now. You know, unless he's got a wide open shot, I wouldn't want him. But
hey, man, wait, Flo. I know LA's not talking about Jose Calderon, the dude that he said was better than George Hill. I didn't think about that, brother.
What are you talking about? There's no tape in showing that, man.
You see the numbers George Hill was putting up in Utah? And Jose Calderon. The dude
that was years ago. That was years ago.
People don't even want Calderon on the team. This dude can't even be the water boy now. This is ridiculous, man.
As Oliver North would have said, I don't recall, man. I don't know. But what's the name? As for Barnes actually put up decent numbers as a backup. You know, that's basically what you want to do is hold the fort down till KD comes back. And basically the Warriors are the same team they were before. They still Gucci. They still bringing what they need to bring. All the players that was made that championship run are still there. So as long as they're healthy, they'll be fine. That's just what happened. You have a stacked team, you know. And what you think about it overall, D?
Oh, yeah, for Matt Barnes, definitely. It made sense. Jose Calderon, you know, back then when you used Toronto, you was the man, homie. Not no more. Not no more. But the sad part is, too, but not the sad part, but the good thing is also, if it doesn't work out for him, if he truly wants to play, he can have a great career overseas. Somebody would definitely pick him up because he was on the national team, stuff like that. He'll be fine because he's still, like LeBron said before, what they said, L and Flo, we just going to go back to our ordinary lives and he's going to continue making the deals that he's doing.
Hey, Rome wasn't built in one day. That's what they said, right? Thank you very much, fellas. For my my tip-off topic, I should say, back to your guy, Phil Jackson, your favorite guy, Flo. I just want to talk about...
He ain't my favorite guy.
A recent report, I don't know if you guys heard it, is regarding Larry Brown, who was talking about Phil Jackson and the triangle. And he said on a recent interview on Cyrus with ESPN's Ian Begley, or of that nature, and Brown said that, if Jackson should assume the role of the Knicks as head coach if he wants to insist on running the triangle offense. And I'll quote, "I can't figure out how you can hire a coach and tell him how you want him to play. I can't figure out how you can draft players for a coach that you know coaches a certain style and has been successful doing that style and get him to play a style that you feel comfortable with. Then you coach. You're talking about one of the greatest coaches in the history of our league, or I should say our sport. Let him coach. If he wants to do the triangle, put it in, let him coach it, and then teach everybody around and get the players that are comfortable playing it." So this is where it's at right now. Got other coaches coming out against Phil, and I just want to see what you thought about this overall. Do you think it's sour grapes from Larry Brown, just, doing a little needling, or do you think he's right on? I'll start with you this time, Flo. What you thought about Larry Brown comments?
LA, Larry Brown is 100% correct. when you're Phil Jackson and you're still stuck on this, triangle offense, you're trying to live your glory days, winning all those rings with Michael Jordan in Chicago and Scottie Pippen, and also winning those rings also with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant in LA. He refused to adjust as the time goes on. Remember, LA, we talked about this. You got to make adjustments. This is the reason why I love Greg Popovich. When he's down in a game going halftime, he makes his adjustments. Phil Jackson has yet made an adjustment. Let's move on from this triangle offense and let's focus on the pick and roll. If you are, it's such a big need for you that you need to put in the triangle offense, then you should definitely relinquish your position of president of basketball operations and coach this team. Period.
Hey, that's what you and Larry Brown says. Thank you, Flo. What you thought about these comments about Larry Brown, Danny D?
I agree. But the thing is, Phil won't do it because he can't do it. Because, like you said, he doesn't have a Kobe. He doesn't have a Shaq. He doesn't have a Mike. He doesn't have a Scotty. And he knows that. It's like, you ever see them people, like, you go to a job and the dude been there for 30, 40 years, and then they put a new computer system and the dude retires the next day? That's Phil. Because he can't keep up. You understand what I'm saying, guys? He can't keep up with the times.
I hear you.
You understand? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, words? What? They got Microsoft Word. 0.8? Oh, no, I can't. Oh, no, I got to retire tomorrow. I can't do this Chronos this week. Nah, and Phil won't understand because the game has changed. And Phil is not up to the new parts of how things are doing. And then see, the thing is, that is crazy, LL and Flo, because now you got me thinking, is Phil really a good coach, or did the players make him a good coach?
Oh, we talked about that before in a podcast episode. We rated the best coaches ever,
That's, you understand what I'm saying? Because now it's suspect. Because you took two exact systems. Like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Triangle worked out here in Chicago. I'm gonna take it to LA. I got the pieces. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That's like we going to the NHL. We like, let's do the flying V, the Mighty Ducks. Nah, man, it's not gonna work, man. I don't even work for that. It's not gonna work this year, bro. No.
I hear you. I gotta agree with you right there. I mean, I can't take away the rings. He did it with the teams he had, but as always, you had Jordan, you had Kobe, you had Shaq, you had Pippen. It's hard as that's a whole different topic as we went through before. But right now, it's like you said, you don't have those players to do this type of offense. And the thing is, it makes it bad because it's not only just that he's putting this offense out there, and this is the same thing that he wouldn't want another coach to do to him. That's the thing. But you're doing this with Hornacek, and now for the Knicks, as an organization, you can't really tell what you're getting with Hornacek. You don't really know if he can really fit this team properly, or is he being handcuffed behind the scenes that he doesn't have his own defense like he wants. He may not want to have Rambis as a coordinator, and this is what he had been forced to do. Also, this triangle. This is not the offense that he ran back in Phoenix, It was more of a up and down type of offense and things of that nature, So it's like, is Hornacek really not that great a coach for the Knicks? Or is he being handcuffed and not being able to do the things he really want to do? Or do you think slow down where your organization go down the road? And you need to know exactly what's going on within the next year, too, when they start making these draft picks and these free agent signs they're going to have to try to make. So all these things are slowing the team back. Like I said this before. We said this before amongst ourselves. If Phil want to do this, then you should be out there coaching. Even if it's just home games. Just coach that. That's the thing. They put you out here to spend all this money. The team is not winning. Me as a person, as a personal job, and I feel like I'm known as one of the greatest coaches ever. That's the least I could do to this organization that's doing put this faith in me. I haven't rewarded it. But, that's my opinion. What about you, Flo? Anything else you want to add to this?
LA, in regards to Phil Jackson, once again, the $60 million intern. Just, again, very quiet. We haven't heard him at all in a long time. He started off bashing LeBron with his Posse-gate nonsense. Derrick Rose is AWOL. He finds him. Doesn't go out and talk about it through the media at all. He's just tweeting about Melo, throwing Melo under the bus, staying quiet. In terms, when I say staying quiet, in terms of not holding any press conference, The Knicks didn't do anything come the trade deadline. No press conference again in terms of the state of the Knicks. And then lo and behold, he releases Brandon Jennings. I don't know what's going on over there. I really don't know what's going on. But he's got to really get it together. But that's the scary thing. This is really going to put pressure on Phil Jackson come July 1st. What he really needs to do, start knocking down players' doors come July 1st. We all agree who we want as the starting point guard of the New York Knicks. It's up to Phil Jackson to get it done. He's got to hit a home run with the draft, and he's got to hit a home run with free agency. He's got 2 second-round draft picks at his disposal this year. He's got the Chicago Bulls second-round draft pick, and he has his own second-round draft pick. He's got a first-round draft pick, but not too sure how high this first-round draft pick is. Right now, I believe, and you guys can correct me, I believe it's the 10th pick in the draft currently. But the Knicks, I just found out the Knicks just won tonight 101-90 over the Orlando Magic. So now that 10th pick is probably now going to go up to now probably to the 12th pick in the draft if the Knicks keep on winning.
They got to start losing again, man.
Keep on winning. Yep. Keep on winning. Going to keep on going down.
That's it. But thank you for that, Flo. And, we'll just see what happens this time. Time is a great equalizer. We'll definitely see what's going to go on with that. But, as always, fellas, thank you for your comments and thoughts regarding the previous segment. And that brings us to our closing remarks for today's show. Starting with you, Danny D. You got any closing remarks for today?
I want to thank you guys, man. Thank you for your time and your effort and all the listeners, and keep on subscribing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Danny D. How about you, Flo? Any closing remarks for today's show?
Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for allowing me to be part of a great show, Knicksfandom. I want to thank all the listeners. Please continue to tell a friend, subscribe. This is one of the best shows I've ever been on. Knicksfandom, the best show. Definitely, we have the best listeners in the world, Knicks fans and NBA fans all over the world.
Very true, very true. Thank you, Flo. And until next time, thanks again, fellas. Couldn't do it without you. As always, a big thanks to our listeners. Please continue to subscribe, share, and write a positive review on iTunes when you have a chance. It'd be greatly appreciated. Peace and take care, y'all. Definitely had a good time today. See ya.